During a hearing of the full House Armed Services Committee, the Asia-Pacific region was described as the most important region of the 21st century. But despite its importance, there have been delays with the implementation of the military strategy to rebalance its forces to the Asia-Pacific region. Delays Guam delegate Madeline Bordallo is concerned could have an impact on how Japan views the United States.
What impact has the delays in the realignment of Marines from Okinawa to Guam had on our political capital and regional credibility? Now, this is an issue that was raised in last year's CSIS report on the rebalance of our military to the Asia-Pacific region. I'm concerned that we are losing credibility by the obstruction that we continue to face from the U.S. Senate. And this feeds the overall perception that the U.S. is not serious about the rebalance, which couldn't be further from the truth.
Retired U.S. Navy Admiral Gary Roughead and Dr. James Shin of the School of Engineering at Princeton University.
I would say that it's, as I look at it, it's probably less about the forces that may be moving around and more about the inability to lock down on a coherent strategy and the actions that support a strategy. That's the issue that I think people look at and scratch their heads.
I think you're absolutely right that the failure to move forward to this has done a lot of damage to our credibility in the past, much less sort of a big test point for whether the so-called Asia rebalancing is a real strategy or whether it's just a speech.
The Congresswoman, meantime, also discussed a letter she co-signed with several of her colleagues on the committee to National Security Advisor Susan Rice, requesting clear interagency guidance, enabling a broad effort to empower departments and agencies to implement this rebalance strategy.
Some example that we could use as a template for developing guidance for the current rebalance.
Dr. Patrick Cronin is the Center for New American Security Senior Advisor and Senior Director of its Asia program.
We did 3 reports out of the Department of Defense in the 1990s. We need to do a 4th one, and it needs to be more detailed. There can be a classified one for government purposes, and there can be an unclassified one for public purposes.
The only thing I would add is that it needs to take into account more than just the Department of Defense because of the many, many interests that are at play: economic, trade, diplomatic, and I think that there are real opportunities, but it's a question of if rebalance and the strategic objectives we have in Asia are the real thing, then how do we come together as a nation, apply the appropriate resources to achieve the ends that we seek for a prosperous Asia?
Bordallo said the hearing was important to better articulate our country's strategic interests in the region, adding the panel of witnesses emphasized that more than the economic opportunities and improved diplomacy that will abound, the real purpose of the rebalance is to promote regional security and stability.